Okay, we're back over here in Bechira, in Freewill, and today is chapter 4, and the title is called Nekudas HaBechira, which means the point of one's free will. Now, how do you know? The question really is, are you exercising your free will in every decision that you make in your life? Do you think that when you sit down at the table in the morning and you take the box of Special K over the box of Cocoa Crisp, did you exercise your Bechira, your free will, to make a real decision what you're eating for breakfast? I decided to have eggs instead of toast. So it sounds like you're making a decision, but if the way that we've been speaking about up until this point, that Bechira is where the struggle of a person is inside of them to choose the good life or the not so good life, and every time that you choose to go the higher road over the lower road, that's where you can be assured that you're using your Bechira, your free will. So on the little things in life, am I using my Bechira, or is it more just of a automatic kind of instinctual response that I have? And then what we're really going to get into the definition of, everybody's going to be playing on a different playing field. Meaning what might be in your world a decision that requires free will, somebody else, they're beyond that, or they're not even in that realm yet to make such a decision. And the examples that he's going to bring over here are people that are on much lower levels of free will, which to us looks absolutely ridiculous, but that's where the person is holding, as we're going to see. He says like this: in the whole world of this free will, of the, I guess we'll call it the moral choices that a person has to make, there's like a vertical scale that is in everyone's life, and it's like a ladder that's of the different levels of challenges that we're going to lead up to and overcome, where the Bechira, the free will, is going to be. Bechira chavshis misvacheshes be'azor hamatim besulim zelefi ramas hispachtus hamusaris ha'ishis. So this scale of free will that we're describing over here, it operates on a certain point that is really commensurate with the level of the personal moral development that the person is on. So where I'm holding is not where you're holding. And where you're holding in your world of personal moral development is not where maybe your spouse or your children or somebody else is holding. So the challenges that I'm going to have in my life, of the decisions I have to make, are going to be based on my life. And the decision that you're going to have to make in your moral scale is going to be based on your life and where you're holding. That's what he's saying. And this idea is very fundamental in the world of free will. And once you understand this, that every person has a different point where they're holding on the chart or on the scale of Bechira, so then you'll be able to understand many things that we find in the Torah itself, and you'll be able to understand many things in the human activity of the day-to-day life. Meaning, sometimes you see somebody do something, you're like, what's wrong with this person? Well, that person is not holding in the same place as you. So he did what he did because that's where he is. And you're holding over here, so you're looking down. What's wrong with this guy? What do you mean what's wrong with that guy? That's where the guy is. That's where he's holding. So that's why he did what he did. Because his challenge in life is on a lower level challenge. And sometimes you look at somebody who's way up and you're like, what is this guy doing? What? That's because you're down here, you're looking up here, you can't comprehend sometimes the high level of moral compass that the man is on. B'kol techum mitager yeshnoi tevach shel nekudas chichur efsharis. In every area of this moral challenge, so there is a spectrum of possible points of where you're going to engage in the world of Bechira, free will. And so he gives a very interesting example over here, and this will illustrate what we're talking about. Ledugma, for example, b'techuma gezel. Let's take the area of theft. Okay, nekudas chichuch oy bechira nemucha asir li'israchish etzel b'sheya muad ve'elin. So we're talking if a person already is involved in thievery, that means that we're on a very low point of the scale of free will for someone that is engaged on a regular basis in going and stealing and looting and the like. What does it mean? La'adam kizeh, such a person who is a thief. He is identifiable as a thief. Ha'bechira chavshi shelo tizbata b'midas ha'ilamis ba'yinag v'pam haba. So where is his free will going to be located? The guy steals. So is going and stealing, is that free will? He's already conditioned to, he needs money, it's the end of the month, he has to pay his bills. For the last 10 years, he's been going into the corner market every single month. The end of the month, he holds the guy up at gunpoint, he steals the money, he goes, he pays his bills. So when he goes now at the end of July to get his money, is that Bechira? That's not free will, because that's what he does every month. So where's his free will? So he writes, it falls into place when he decides, how violent am I actually going to be in the thievery that I do? Meaning, the next time I have to go steal, korban kashish v'chalash. What am I going to do in my next attack on the frail and the elderly person over here to get the money that I want? How rough and tough am I going to be? The challenge of Bechira shel adam kazeh lo yala al das shel adam ma'udan yoser. But if you would hear what's going on in this guy's head, he's walking down the street and he sees this old man hobbling down, and he sees hanging from the man's wrist a very expensive watch, and he says, "Look, if I go and I knock the guy over like this, and he's lying on the floor, I could just grab the watch and I could run for it." And then he thinks to himself, "Should I knock the guy down on the ground? I could really just go and take the watch very gently off of his wrist, and I won't have to hurt the person." So you hear the voices in his head. So, are you a sick man? What's the matter with you? You're deciding, you're going to take the watch. So now you're deciding whether or not you're going to knock the guy down to the ground, or you're just going to steal the watch and not hurt the person? What kind of bechir is that? And that is the man's world of free will, is in that realm. To you, it sounds ridiculous. The choice is don't steal. But he said, no, that's not a choice for me. I am a stealer. I'm a thief. That's how I live. So I'm now fighting within myself, how rough and tough am I going to get in the next thing? Or for example, I'm a ganav. I'm a thief. I'm not a murderer. So when I go into the homes, I never bring a gun, because if I steal, I steal. I'm not going to kill somebody. Then one day I get caught, and now I have to make a decision. Okay, if I go into the house the next time without a gun, maybe the guy's going to open up his safe, pull out brandish one of his pieces over there, and he's going to, so I got to have a gun now, because maybe I'm going to get into a situation where I need the gun. So he was always just a thief. Now he gets to the point where he's a thief that's carrying a gun. And now he's in the situation where he's got to decide that when the owner of the house wakes up in the middle of the night and catches him, and he comes running and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" Am I going to shoot or not? So every person, based on where they're holding in their life, that's where the bechir, that's where the free will is going to be. Writes Rabbi Tatz the following. He says, so where this person is holding in his free will is very low level. It's true, it's on a low level, but that's where the guy's holding in his life. So that means that my free will is always going to be in the place where I'm holding in my moral stature, in my spiritual world, in my physical being and entity. My bechir is always tailor-made for me. My free will is not your free will, and your free will is not going to be my free will. So, if this person decides, like we said, I'm a ganav, I'm a thief, I don't murder. So umagbil es asma ach legribes nezek mishmusi. However, but I just steal. I don't murder. I just steal. That's what I do. Yeah. So you say to yourself, what's wrong with you? You don't just steal. You should just stop stealing. But he says, no, I don't murder. I steal. That's what I do. Yitachin shebekachu harim b'tzura mashmusis as a nekuda bechira shalai. So this person now, he has defined his level of where he's holding in the world of free will. I would never murder, but I do steal. So where's my bechira? How I'm going to end up going about the steal? Do I have to steal everything I want? Do I have to go break into people's homes that I know are struggling more? Maybe he's he's a moral thief. And he says, look, I come to this neighborhood over here, and I see this is like an average neighborhood. These people probably work very hard. They probably don't come to make their monthly payments. Not easy for them. You know what? I'm not going to steal from them. Because I'm going to have rachmanis on them that they worked really hard this month. They deserve to have their money. But I'm going to go down to Beverly Hills over there, where I know that these people, if they wanted to give more than 20% tzedakah, it wouldn't hurt their pocket at all. From them, I'll steal. So that's his world of bechira, and he feels good about himself. Just like when you make the right decision, and you realize you conquered a negative trait, or you conquered something that was pulling you in the wrong direction, and you said, I'm not going to do that. This guy also, he goes home, he tells his wife, you know what I did today? And I drove down the street, and there was a back door wide open to somebody's house, and I saw all the lights were off, and there were no cars in the driveway. I could have gone in, I could have stolen everything. But I had rachmanis on them. I said, this guy probably works really hard. I felt bad for him that he left his door open. He was such a fool. And I went to Beverly Hills, and I robbed the pants off of some rich guy over there. Yes. I'm not saying that he gets rewarded for that thing. Rabbi Tatz is defining how the world of free will works for each person on an individual level. Which means, and this is why we don't always understand each other, because nobody knows exactly what is going on inside of our head, and nobody knows exactly where we're holding in our world of morality and what we deem to be correct and not correct. So what I would decide to do or not to do, you might say, well, what's the problem with that? And what you might decide to do or not to do, I say, wow, that's pretty incredible. But no, that's just what I do. So here you have the thief who's saying, I'm a noble thief because I don't steal from people that worked hard to get their money. I only go to the people that don't have a lot of extra, and it's not going to hurt them if I take their silver candlesticks and I find the safe where he keeps all of his $100 bills, and I steal a few thousand $100 bills. I know this guy's, what's the big deal? He's got the money anyway. Okay, so let's see. So he says further, and he says like this. But as you're all shaking, like, it sounds absurd to you. What? That's the guy's free will? Because the guy decided to steal from the rich and not steal from the poor? You call that free will? That's only because in his world, in his realm, that's what's possible and that's what's not possible. In my realm, in the realm of the free will of the God of the thief over here, his possibilities are steal from the rich or steal from the poor. I'm already a thief. I'm not going back on that. That is what I do. Now, what kind of a thief am I going to be? Have sharius hatoiva beyoser shaolos bedaito shel Bechira hamur hazeh asuyis lios gasos lahachvid yachzeh odem acher. So he writes that for the more refined person, that the best option perceived by this type of a criminal, which might seem to be very crude and ridiculous, nevertheless, this particular criminal, so his world of morality, this is really the challenge that he finds himself in. And this is how he starts off with the thief, so that we should be able to laugh at somebody who makes such silly choice. I mean, those are the choices where he's holding. But as we're going to go through the chapters over here, we're going to realize that even for ourselves, there are things that we do that are absolutely absurd. And somebody else watching us, what we're doing, is laughing at it. Like, what are you doing? But that's what I'm holding. And that's what I do. And that's where my world of Bechira, my world of free will is. Now, the higher that we grow, we look back down. We can look back down ourselves from 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, ways that we used to behave or act or things that we used to do. And we say, I would never do that today because I catapulted myself to a different place. So again, whether it's going to be in the world of mitzvahs, whether it's going to be in the world of character development, whether it's going to be in the world of morality, however it's going to work, the goal is to grow through life so that things that I'm doing now or previously, as I get older and as I mature in the world of free will, certain things that are absurd. What was I even thinking? Point is, that's where I was holding at that point. And I was able to pull myself to a higher level. So now those are behind me, and now I'm just striving to ascend this ladder even more.
So the higher you go or the lower you go, there's less choices you have to make, less freedom of choice.
The higher you go,
The lower you go, free will.
Yes.
You're losing more and more free will as you go higher, because everything is already predetermined. The same thing if you go.
What do you mean? What do you mean by predetermined?
Well, the higher you go, you already know what the rules are. There's no choice for you to do anything.
Well, meaning certain things in my mind are no longer a choice because I've already conquered that test.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that there won't be more things that are coming my way. And it will be a heightened challenge that's in front of me that I wasn't even aware perhaps that those things are really challenges.
So there are less and less free will as you go higher. You've already conquered all the things.
Meaning you conquer, right, meaning everything that I conquer no longer is part of my free will because I'm beyond that already. Correct. Meaning when this thief finally realizes, you know what, not only is killing a bad thing, but stealing is also a bad thing, and he stops stealing, and let's say he lives 1 year, he's clean from stealing, so then every time that he passes the old lady with the purse, he's not making a decision, I'm not going to knock her over and take her purse. I'm beyond that already. Correct. Okay, let me continue.